Good afternoon, Rabbi. The question arises now that we have coming up Haba Alenu Letova, Chag Shavuot, which is going to be after Shabbat. So we're going to have altogether 3 days, Shabbat and 2 days of Yom Tov. In the diaspora, in Eretz Israel, is only 2 days. Nevertheless, to go 3 days for our generation, to go 3 days without bathing, without a shower, is a very difficult thing. So the question arises: is a Jew allowed to take a bath on Yom Tov, whether it's the first day or the second day? A hot shower, is this permitted to do? So the answer is, Rabbi, that it says in the Shulchan Aruch, in Siman Tav Kuf Yud Aleph, that a person is not allowed to heat water to bathe his whole body. He can only heat water on Yom Tov, on the festivals, to wash his hands and his face and his feet, but he's not allowed to heat up water to bathe his whole body. So the question is, why is there prohibition on Yom Tov to heat up water to bathe the whole body? So explains Tosfot in Masechet Betzah, the reason is because it's not Shaveh Lechol Nefesh. What does that mean? That not everybody is particular to bathe the whole body. Some people just suffice with bathing the feet and the hands and the face. So the question is, does this reason really apply to us in our generation? As everybody knows today, people take showers and they bathe their whole body. They don't bathe parts of the body. This is not common at all in our times. So therefore, the concept of the custom today to bathe the whole body in a shower or even to soak in a bath is very, very common amongst everybody. And therefore, the truth is that in our times, this Tosfot that says that this is not really common to most people to take showers doesn't apply. So therefore, the truth is, right, that a person, according to this, would be allowed to even heat up water on Yom Tov to take a shower or bath. The truth is, right, that in our times, people don't really heat up the water so much. What does that mean? That it's heated up by itself. There's a boiler, there's a thermostat that does it on its own on a regular basis, and we don't have to really get involved with that, touch it, or to play around with it. So therefore, now the question is, since the water is being heated up automatically by itself, can we take a shower on Yom Tov? So the answer is for sure yes. Why is that? Because as we said, that nowadays this Tosfot doesn't really apply because people usually take showers bathing their whole body. There's also another reason brought down in the Rambam, who says that this is because of Gezerah. This is a decree because of Balyanim. What does that mean? That the rabbis made a special decree not to bathe on Yom Tov because the Balyanim, the people who are the bathhouse attendants, used to do some kind of a trick to heat up the water even on Yom Tov itself, not to just use hot water that was heated up before, and they were cheating. They were doing it in a forbidden manner. So therefore, the rabbis forbade bathing on Yom Tov in order to avoid this issue that the bathhouse attendants are going to heat up the water in a forbidden way and cheat. So the question is, right, does that apply to us today? This is what the Rambam says. The answer is, Rabotai, that it's really a safek. It's really a doubt. What does that mean? That we're not really sure 100% whether the real reason why we don't do it is because of the reason of Tosfot, as we mentioned, or because of the reason of the Rambam. So the truth is that if you look in the Beit Yosef and in the Poskim, they don't even bother to bring down the reason of the Rambam. They don't really hold by it so much. They don't really appreciate this reason. So therefore, it seems like all the Poskim really hold that the real reason why we don't bathe on Yom Tov, at least to heat up the water, right, to bathe, we don't do that, is because of the reason of the Tosfot and not because of the reason of the Rambam. And even though usually Maran, Bet Yosef, Rabbi Yosef Karo, usually goes like the Rambam against the Tosfot, but here we find that even he admits, right, that the main reason is not the reason of the Rambam, but the reason is because of the Tosfot. And even if you tell me, right, that we should go like the reason of the Rambam, nevertheless it's a safek derabanan. Right? It's rabbinically, it's a doubt in a rabbinic matter. So therefore, in rabbinic matters we go lenient and we say, right, that so therefore the most probable scenario here is that we go according to Tosfot, and therefore, since the reason of Tosfot doesn't apply in our generation, so therefore, really, the truth is that one could even heat up water on Yom Tov itself and use that to take to bathe the whole body on Yom Tov. The only uh, condition that we have there is that you cannot start a new fire on Yom Tov, so therefore you have to take from an existing fire and spread it on to that place that you want to heat up the water. You have to take from an existing flame and heat it up there. So the truth is, as we said, right, that the day doesn't apply. Why is that? Because in most cases, the water is heated automatically with boilers and thermostats. And in Israel, they have these dud shemesh, these solar panels. So there also, it's heated up by itself automatically, and therefore using those dud shemesh solar panels would be allowed, obviously, because there, right, the heating that's done is rabbinical. It's not really from the Torah that the way it's heated there, because it's using the rays of the sun. So therefore, all the more so will be permitted if it's using solar panels. But nevertheless, right, even if you're using a regular boiler, which is automatic and works by itself, here also on Yom Tov there will be no problem to take a hot shower. Now the question is like this, right? But there's nevertheless an issue where when a person opens up the tap, what happens is that when he opens up the tap for the hot water, inside the boiler, the compartment over there, which stores the water, comes in cold water because the pressure is needed to push out the hot water. So therefore, cold water comes in to that tank, and therefore, what happens is, right, that it's very likely that cold water can get cooked. Why is that? Because it's coming into a tank of hot water, very hot water, and it's probably going to get cooked in there. So therefore, the question is, right, if the water is being cooked by the fact that we're opening up the tap, is that really a problem? So the answer is, Rabbi, for sure, on Yom Tov, right, at least, it's not a problem. What's the reason? Because, anyway, there's really no prohibition, as we said, to heat up that water. And also, he's doing it in an abnormal way. He's not really doing it directly. It's coming in by itself, right, in order to allow him to get the pressure. And that's not really his intention. And so we call that enomit kaven. It's also kilachariyat. It's an abnormal way of cooking. A person doesn't cook by opening up a tap. It's not the way a person cooks. So therefore, right, and also it's not his intention. And also we said, right, and even if it was his intention, anyway, according to what we said, that Tosfot, the reason of Tosfot doesn't really apply in our time. So therefore, we have many, many reasons to say that a person can open up the tap even though there's cold water coming in to the hot water tank there. It's not really a problem for us. And the truth is that we already find in Moreno Rabbeinu Shalom, he already writes that even on Shabbat there is definitely what to rely on for a person to do that too. What does that mean? To open up the hot water tap on Shabbat, even though there's cold water coming in there, he brings several reasons in the Chazon Ovadia over there that why even on Shabbat definitely there's what to rely on to do that. Even though in hot water on Shabbat a person is not allowed to bathe in hot water the whole body. That for sure we're not allowed to do unless there is a special reason for that. We'll talk about that at a different time. But in general, right, on Shabbat, a person is not allowed to bathe with hot water like that. But nevertheless, on Yom Tov, since there's no prohibition to bathe the whole body in hot water, as long as the water, right, as we said, was not heated in a forbidden way, so here it's done in a permitted way. So therefore, the truth is, Rabbi, that there's really no issue or problem to use hot water to bathe on Yom Tov, the whole body, and as long as he's doing it at home, right? We're not talking about the bathhouse, because if he goes to the bathhouse, right? Let's say he went to a mikveh, where they have a public place over there. So over there, it's not allowed to bathe on Yom Tov, because there is actually a takana, right? A decree regarding public bathhouses. But regarding a private bath in your home, so there is no decree actually in this case. So therefore, a person would be allowed definitely to use one of these devices, as we mentioned, to bathe on Yom Tov. Whether it's the first day on Yom Tov or the second day, doesn't really matter. All the more so on the second day, which everything is rabbinical there. It's not even from the Torah to begin with at all. So therefore, it's even more permitted. The question arises like this, right? There's also now these newfangled machines, which in Israel we call them Junkers machines, Junkers, whatever they call them. There's a company called Junkers that produces them in Europe. So what they do is that they have now, I heard that they have these machines also in America. They certainly have them in Europe. They have them in Israel. What happens is, right, that there are these machines where it's like some kind of an oven, but it's not oven for cooking. It's an oven for heating water. So what happens is that when you open up the tap, that those new machines now, what they do is they turn on automatically. Right when you open the tap, it turns on. So therefore, you're starting now like a new fire. So here it's more of a concern. Why is that? Because every time you open the tap, it's something new. when you close the tap, it closes. It gives you on-demand hot water. So if a person has one of these machines in his house, and every time he opens up the hot water, it's starting the machine new. It's a new start. In the old days, by the way, they used to have these kinds of machines where there was a pilot light. So this pilot light was always on, and when a person would open up the tap, so the pilot light would spread now the fire into the oven. So it was taking from an existing flame. But the truth is that most of the machines that we have are in our times, the newer machines, they don't have a pilot light. They have like automatic start. It starts with a spark or something, whatever. So that's like every time you open up the tap with some kind of machine like that, you're starting a new fire. So therefore, a person really should avoid doing that on Yom Tov to use this kind of machine. Why is that? Because you're not allowed to start a new fire on Yom Tov. You can only take from an existing fire. So therefore, if a person has no choice, let's say he only has a unit like that in his home, where it's on demand right away when he opens up the tap. So what should he do? Right? If he's pressed and he has no other choice, so what should he do is he's ask a goy to open up the tap. So this right, it'll be shvut shvut b'makom mitzvah b'makom tzorech gadol. It'll be a big need or a mitzvah to bathe, to be clean or whatever. So therefore, right, a person who has a situation like that where there's no choice, so let him bring some goy neighbor or whatever, or some kind of a butler that he has, whatever, some kind of a servant that he has there in the house, and let that goy turn on the hot water tap, and then he wouldn't be able to take the hot shower, because this way, right, it was done in a permitted manner. So as we said, Rabotai, this is the law of taking a shower on Yom Tov. So the truth is that a person doesn't have to go 3 days uh, without bathing on Yom Tov. This is very hard for us in our times, because tendency is by us to bathe regularly, every day, every other day, right, depending on the person, whatever. So a person doesn't have to go suffer on Yom Tov and or take a cold shower, thing like that, because cold showers are very uncomfortable, and they also can cause a person backaches, all kinds of problems with their muscles, this and that, whatever. So therefore, the only time that a person really should take a cold shower is on Shabbat, because on Shabbat, as we said, right, there's more of a problem to use a hot shower at all on Shabbat. In most cases, there are some cases where it's allowed. We can talk about it at a different time, but nevertheless, right, what should a person do, practically speaking? He should go Shabbat one day. He can go without taking a bath. What's the big deal, right? And then once Yom Tov starts, which is going to be after Shabbat, so then he can take a shower, right, in a normal manner. And there's also no concern, by the way, about squeezing out your towel, because the towel doesn't usually get that saturated with water that you're going to squeeze it out like that. Who squeezes out the towel like that and wrings it out and takes out the water from there? Nobody does it like that. So there's no concern about that, Rabotai. As you know, right, that also we Sfaradim were lenient to use also solid bar soap on Shabbat and Yom Tov. We're not really so particular about that. The Ashkenazim only use liquid soap. That's very good. If you want to be machmir like that, if you want to be stringent, so use liquid soap. Especially if you're Ashkenazi, really you should be more stringent about that, because all the Ashkenazi poskim, they say that it's not allowed to use bar soap. But for sure, to use liquid soap or shampoo, things like this, a person is allowed to use in a normal manner, because there's no prohibition to use liquid soap on Shabbat according to all the poskim. There's no issue there. Only with the solid soap there's an issue, and as we said, right, the Sfaradim are lenient regarding that too as well. So the question is, what about for the Ashkenazim? The truth is, right, that a person who does like that also, the Ashkenazim, that they use a cold shower on Shabbat and they take a hot shower on Yom Tov, they also have what to rely on. Because we heard for many years ago already that the great posek, the Rabbi Feinstein of the Ashkenazim, he also was a matir. He also permitted people in the diaspora, right, as we said, and also in Eretz Israel, it could be the same thing, depending on what kind of unit you have there. But he permitted that on Shabbat a person can take a cold shower, even for Ashkenazi, and also on Yom Tov to take a hot shower. And we also find the same thing in the books of Moreno Rabbeinu, Chazon Ovadia, Yom Tov, Chelek Yom Tov over there, that he allows also a person to take a hot shower on Yom Tov. As we said, right, if you have a situation where it's permitted, you're not starting a new flame, taking from an existing flame, or it's already been heated automatically. So therefore, Rabbatai, there's no reason to suffer on Yom Tov. A person can take a shower and feel good and serve Hashem and do all the mitzvot. Baruch Adonai le'olam. Amen ve'amen. Chazak u'baruch.